Have you ever been in a contract with someone and they just don't deliver? They just stop doing what they were supposed to do? Well, I want to explain to you what you may be able to do in response to that. But before I get into that, let me introduce myself. I am Shayla Jackson, trademark and business attorney for Purpose Driven CEOs. I'm also the founder of Legacy Legal and Consulting Firm, a virtual law firm for CEOs on the go, where we empower and equip CEOs like you to protect your brand, build a legacy, and secure your wealth. So, in securing your wealth, because you are probably in a contract, if you're watching this, or you just want to prevent yourself from being in a contract, paying somebody, and they don't do the work. Look. Unfortunately, there are people out here that do not do business fairly or with integrity. So when you pay someone and they are supposed to provide a service to you or a product and they have not performed, meaning they're not doing what they said they do, they're not meeting deadlines, they have not done anything, or they've done it, maybe it's not subpar, maybe it's not up to the standard or quality, or it's not according to the terms of the contract. This is where we are in breach of contract land, meaning that the other party, because they have not held up their contractual responsibilities, have breached the contract. And do you know what happens when one party breaches the contract? Now, this is not for everybody, because in some circumstances, you may have a responsibility to continue to pay. But for majority, I don't want to say majority, but for some folks, you may be in a situation where you're paying for coaching services or you're paying for work to be done, and the person is just not doing the work. They have breached the contract, and you have no obligation to keep paying for work that they are not doing, which means they were the first breach of contract, which then excuses you from the duty under the contract for you to pay them. That's right. If they breach, it excuses you from having to pay, which was your responsibility under the contract. So you have to be clear. Has a breach occurred? Now, to understand breaches of contract, I want you to understand this. A contract is like a promise to do one thing in exchange for another. So for service providers, to provide a service in exchange for money. But those terms have to be very clear. What are they promising that they will give you? Are there any deadlines? Are there deliverables? Be very, very clear. Now, once you're clear on what the terms are, now you can look and see, have they breached their part of responsibility? Have they broken their promise? If they said that they would deliver you 2 sessions within 90 days, and we are at 120 days, if you only had 1 session, they have breached their responsibility, meaning they're in breach of contract. You can sue them. And so if you have been paying them, that excuses you from paying for additional things that, 1, they haven't delivered on what you paid for, but 2, you are excused from paying because they have breached. So this is where a breach of contract is a broken promise in a contract. But what happens is, depending on the type of contract, this is not for everyone. This is not for everyone. Once you identify the breach in a breach of contract, if there's no cure breach provision in there that you need to follow those provisions, then chances are you are excused from the duty to keep paying them. And on the flip side, if someone's not paying you, you're excused from the duty of performing services. Not for everyone, because for some of us, you have to check your rules of responsibility or your ethical rules for your industry. But you're excused from performing because they have not held up their end of the deal. Okay? I want you to think about this like promises. You said you'll do this and you didn't do this. Well, now I ain't got to do what I said I was going to do. If then conditioning, but it depends on how well written that contract is. And just because a contract is not in writing doesn't mean you don't have one. Contracts can be verbal, or it can be based on your marketing and sales materials. What did your landing page say? So for some of you that are in breach of contract and maybe you're thinking about litigation, you want to go print out the original landing page. Get a screenshot copy now. Don't screenshot it. Get a PDF, print it out, make sure the date and time that you did it is on there, so you are prepared in case you need to sue them for your money or do a chargeback, a dispute the charge. Now, I don't advertise dispute the charge because, that can be hard on the business owner. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do because maybe they went ghost on you, maybe they're not responding, but this is business. And in business, people have to perform their contractual duty. And if they don't, you have every right to take take power into your hands and protect your wealth, but also to protect your mind and protect your business. So, if you are in that situation, hope that answers your question of what you can do, but there's an excusement of paying, but you have to look at what the terms are. And you have to understand, is there a cure breach? Do you have to give them notice that they are in breach of contract before you can stop paying? So you just want to be clear. Now, this is for business owners. If you're in a landlord-tenant situation, this ain't for you. Those laws are different. This is for business owners. So I hope this answers your question of what to do if they breached a contract. Do I still have to keep paying? Well, now you know that you have options, but you have to go through the steps before you just decide to say, boom, I'm done. And don't forget to send notice of termination. Terminate that contract. Don't just stop paying and not give any kind of communication. Don't give them the same that they gave you. Communicate. Send notice of termination based on what's in the contract if it's written, and then make sure that you keep your money. And if you need to recover, then make sure that you have the address of the person if you need to sue or go to small claims court. Subscribe to this channel if you found this helpful, and if you have any more questions, look, put them in the comments of this video and I will try to respond and get back to you.